All right, guys, welcome back to Half Rod's YouTube channel. So, about a week ago, I got a phone call from Steve with pretty good news. He actually asked me on the phone, when he could get his car back so he could get the upholstery done on it. So I asked him if I could go ahead and get on it and knock it out, and he said, "Yep, step it up." Now, there's been twice that he come to pay me that he said he was gonna have to slow down. So that's why I don't come out and do 40 hours a week in the car. So anyway, I just kind of come out, work on it a little bit here and there, and then work on my cars, work on my yard, work on my house, not a super big rush type of deal. So now that I have the go-ahead to get it finished, I'm going to go ahead and rock and roll it out. And I've been working on it all week, and I've done a lot of little stuff, but it's every one of the things I'm trying to do to the car. It's just a fight, like everything. These reproduction parts, I'm telling you, there are some of them that should not even be sold. But I got a lot of little loose end stuff done. There's still tons more to go. But anyway, I had an issue with my GoPro SD card. I had 24 videos on the GoPro that I'd taken last week, and they wouldn't import to the computer. So I ended up having to delete them, and then I did another single video, and it imported. So then I come out 2 days later, I think it was, and I did 4 videos, and they wouldn't import. So I just went to Walmart and got a new SD card and put it in here, and I hope that's what fixes it. But I can tell you, this is my last GoPro. I won't buy another one. These things are not good. And also this time of year in the summer, they overheat. So I'll be using the camera for like 10 or 15 minutes, and it'll shut down. It says camera is too hot, and it'll automatically shut off. So I can't stand that. But anyway, I'm just going to kind of give a verbal walk and talk of everything that's going on around here. And, I'm probably going to be pumping out quite a few videos if this SD card works on Steve's car to get it finalized. It's probably going to be another, probably another week, maybe 2 weeks of get it all done so it can leave here, because I still have to get it running and driving. I have to tune it. I have to put road miles on it to make sure it's okay, fix all the bugs that these new cars, when you build them, usually have. Make sure there's no squeaks and rattles and all that stuff. And then I have to do a nut and bolt check on everything. So there's still a long road ahead, you know what I mean? But I'm telling you, every little one project I've done on the car has been nothing but a fight. And it's just frustrating because you get down this close to the final on the build, and it doesn't want to cooperate. So we were having problems with this overseas, bumper. It didn't want to fit the car very good. So I ended up tweaking around on the bumper, and I had to oblong the holes on the bracket on this side where it bolts to the frame. I ended up changing the hardware out one size smaller to grade 8 hardware. I just went one size smaller, and that way it allowed the bumper to come down a little on that side and even more on this side because I slotted this side. The problem was this part of the bumper was hanging down lower than the V8 emblem. So that's kind of what I measured off of, was the height from the bottom of the Undertaillight V8 emblem to the top of these GM guards, accessory guards, and now it's on. So I have the same distance on the tail pan over here to over here. So the bumper is done. It's all tightened down, done and over with, and I have the license plate lamps wired up. The previous shop did some work with seam sealer back here, and the holes in the body where the tag lights come up, the wiring comes through, was not existent anymore. So I ended up drilling 2 new holes for those and put rubber grommets in them, and I have the wires coming up through the trunk floor back here on the channel, and I've got them teed in there. So the tag lights are finished. I did some more stuff inside, and I had restored the kick panel vent doors, drilled them apart, put new seals in them, painted them and everything, bolted them back together, put new cables on, did all the adjustment on the cable doors and everything, and I had all that. That's what a lot of the video footage I lost. But anyway, I got the turn signal stuff all finalized up here. All the wiring up here is done. So the only thing left is the dash wiring and hooking up the amplifier. So anyway, I need to get a piece of wood to build an amp platform back there. I got an idea where I'm going to put it, like right behind the back seat. And I need to dig underneath my spare bedroom, I've got a bunch of upholstery remnants under the bed, rolled up, and I think I have some just regular old plain black vinyl. And if I can find it, I'm going to wrap that plywood in that and mount the amp to it and everything. That way I can route the wires across it real nice and everything. It'll look pretty cool. So I got ready to, I sanded all his heater box parts. Everything got sanded. I had to block the box out dry, and then I put another coat of primer on it and then wet sanded it. That was part of the video. I just done one video clip of that after I had it reshot. But anyway, I got ready to paint those, and my activator on the shelf, I noticed there was a lot of the stuff come out around the cap and was hard. The activator was so thick I didn't want to use it. It's no good, obviously. So I ordered a new one from Summit. So I come out yesterday morning to repaint these heater box parts. I left the lid off of my gallon can of lacquer thinner for like 4 or 5 days, and it's been 100 degrees outside and a heat index of 105, 108 or something stupid. So it evaporated almost every bit of the lacquer thinner that I had left in that can, which I want to say there was about a quart left in there. Now there's hardly anything. So it just poof, evaporated. So now I have to go get lacquer thinner because I need to clean my paint gun. That's what I clean my paint gun with. It's just been a mess, man. I'm just not having too much fun, really, trying to get it all finalized, but I got to get it done. But anyway, I run into a big mess on my 280ZX Datsun project. I guess I can talk about this. This is just a walk and talk video, so I'll just kind of tell you about stuff that I got done. I did get the mufflers changed on my 55. I put some Flowmaster knockoffs on it, and I love it now. It actually, you can hear that it has a camshaft in it for once. The mufflers I had on it, you couldn't tell. It was so quiet. So at least now it sounds a little bit aggressive, and I do like that. So it just changed the whole vibe on the car to me. It's not overly loud, but it has a good sound to it. But anyway, now I'll talk to you about the 280ZX project. So if you have not seen the video on this car, this is a 1982 Datsun 280ZX. I acquired this from a friend of mine, and he had done some work on it. He got it from an estate sale, and anyway, so it's set for a long time. He ended up putting new tires on it, new battery, new fuel filter. He dropped the gas tank and he cleaned it and he lined it. So on the drive trying to get it home, we got about, I don't know, a third of the way here, and then it was going to crap, and it actually died a few times, and you'd get it to one point where it would take off and it'd get like an 1/8 mile or so, and then it'd start cutting out and falling on its face again. But anyway, we ended up getting it here. He drove it here, and I gave him a ride back home. And I just assumed the fuel pump was bad on the car. So I went to O'Reilly's and bought a new one. It was $138 or something like that. So I bought a new fuel pump. It's still in the house in the box. I haven't installed it yet. And then when I got under there to change out the fuel pump, the hose on these Datsuns, they have a rubber hose from the factory that goes to the external electric fuel pump. And the clamp was not tightened. The hose was on it, but when I went to tighten the clamp, it just spun on there. And I mean, really bad. Like, you could tell somebody loosened it and pulled the hose off, but they forgot to tighten it. And I was like, well, maybe it was sucking air. And I grabbed the hose and it just fell off there. It is completely dry rotted. There's cracks all in the hose. So this is fuel injection, so it has high pressure. These cars have 35 psi at idle of fuel pressure. So, I mean, that's going to cause issues, you know, sucking air and having dry rotted lines anyway. Definitely a fire hazard. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and drop the tank back out of the car and replace all the fuel hoses on the car. There's a lot of rubber hose at the back and a lot of rubber hose at the front, but it does have a metal line running along the frame rails under it. But this is a unibody, obviously. But anyway, when I took the sending unit out of the car, I was blown away, absolutely blown away. The inside of that tank was, I mean, chock full of crap. There was remnants of old fuel. There was rust scale, lots of speckles of rust scale. But the liner that he put in the tank, the tank doesn't have any baffles inside of it. And on the drive here, you know, turning corners and all that kind of stuff, the fuel's sloshing around in there. And the tank, the liner did not stick to the tank because the tank was rusty and dirty inside. and it just worked that liner loose. So there was liner loose all over it. Now these liner that I'm talking about, it's a liquid style liner that you pour into a gas tank, and it's really designed to, you're supposed to clean the tank, and it's really to like protect from pinhole rust and all that kind of stuff, and keep it from rusting out again, I guess. But anyway, you have to pour it in the tank, and then you have to turn the tank all kinds of different angles and stuff to get it to slowly coat. It's like, imagine pouring syrup into your gas tank and you're trying to get it on everything. So anyway, I texted my buddy, I showed him a picture of that, and I said, what did you line the tank with? Rust? Question mark, and then I put LOL. Anyway, he told me that he cleaned the tank with 6 gallons of muriatic acid. And I mean, I'm not calling him a liar, not by any means, and I'm not mad at him, but that tank to me doesn't look like it was cleaned, and I will show you why I think that. So I have a cardboard box over here. This is some of the stuff after the sending unit got out. This is the stuff I was reaching in and grabbing and pulling out. The liner just come apart, but this is the liner that he'd put in there. And the reason that I think the tank was dirty when he lined it is because the telltale signs right here. See all these little light tan marks right here? And then like that right there, big rust scale, big rust scale, big rust scale. This is what the tank liner was laying against, like that. Imagine that being the bottom of the tank. That is what that was in, just like that. So when you lift that up, these little tan marks are raised bump areas of rust that left their mark here. But anyway, I ended up rinsing the tank out, and I went and bought 3 brand new gallons of muriatic acid. And I poured it in that tank. I built a block off panel for the, which is right here. I built a block off panel out of sheet metal, and I screwed it to the factory sending unit hole. And I put a plug on this, a rubber plug, and hose clamped it on. But anyway, I put 3 gallons of brand new muriatic acid in there, and within 40 minutes, that inside that gas tank looked brand new shiny metal, like it has just got made. So there was a hole in the tank, but it's in the top, and it looks like somebody had put a screw in the access panel in the trunk. There's a round panel that you would access to get to the sending unit without dropping the tank. It looks like too long of a screw was used, and it went into the tank. There was some kind of epoxy put on there that was like amber colored, and when I dropped the tank out on the ground, that just fell right off. So it didn't even bond to it. So I ended up welding a patch to that, and then put tank repair stuff that you need together. It's like quick steel almost, but it's actually tank repair. And I slimed it all over the top of my patch and spread it out a little bit further than that. So I'm pretty sure I got it welded up solid, but I've got that stuff on there just for backup. Now this right here, I'm not sure if this is a return or a vent. This was completely clogged. I couldn't even get 120 psi of fuel pressure through there until I'd done muriatic acid, and then it ate out whatever was in it and got it out of there. But anyway, the tank inside looked awesome. Now the downside of using muriatic acid on a gas tank is when you go to rinse it out, it flash rusts. There's no way to keep it from flash rusting. So, and I've tried a lot of stuff. I've tried baking soda and water mix. It's supposed to neutralize the acid and not rust it out, but it still does. It did when I tried it. So what I normally do is I put 50-50 gas mix in there, and I slosh it around a little bit and then drain it out, and then I put more in, slosh it out, and drain it out. The reason I do 50-50 mix right after muriatic acid is the oil that's in the gas mix kind of coats the metal and keeps it from flash rusting, so it'll stay looking new until you put real fuel in it. But anyway, I had to repair the hole in the top of the tank, and I knew I was going to weld it, so that's why I ended up just rinsing it with water. Now, if you're going to weld up a gas tank that's had fresh fuel in it like that one, you need to be careful, because it will explode on you. The vapor will ignite, and it'll shoot a flame out of all the holes in that tank and take your skin off and your hair and everything. But when you use muriatic acid, it really kind of neutralizes everything in there, so it doesn't even smell like fuel at all. But what I usually do, because I've had to weld up a couple of gas tanks, is I take the old school wooden matches that you get in the box with the striker on the side, and I treat it like you're trying to light a firework that has a really fast fuse. And I take it out in the middle of my yard, out in the open, so if it does shoot fire, it doesn't catch anything on fire. And I had glasses on, I had a long sleeve shirt on and gloves, and I struck a match and was throwing it down in the tank. Well, I ended up throwing 4 or 5 in there, And a couple of them stayed lit down in the tank. It was just the wood stick itself burning. So if there was any vapor in that tank, it would have exploded. You know, it just shot flame out. But anyway, I ended up welding a patch on top of the tank and then put the tank repair stuff on it. But now I need to go back and pour a little bit of muriatic acid back in it again to get the surface rust off, and then I'm going to rinse it a couple of times with 50/50 gas mix, and that should make the tank stay looking new in there. So until, you know, I get fuel in it and stuff and get it back in the car. But I'm out of money after buying the fuel pump. I'm out of money for the month, so I got to wait because I need to replace every one of the rubber hoses on this car is dry rotted. So I need to replace it with fuel injection rubber hose. And some of you do not know, there's a difference in rubber fuel hose for carburetors and fuel injection. Fuel injection runs higher pressure, so you don't put regular old carbureted rubber hose on fuel injection. It will blow the hose apart. So anyway, this is the fuel filter for the car, and he's put on regular rubber hose here, and it says right there, not for fuel injection. So anyway, he put a couple of worm clamps on here. You don't use this style of clamp on fuel injection either. You use this style. This is the solid one piece without the lines in it. So anyway, I need to replace all this hose up here and get more of those fuel injection clamps and replace them with those. So anyway, it's not his fault. I mean, he's not a mechanic by trade, you know. I've been doing this stuff since I was a kid. So I've learned a lot of things through the years, you know, trying to get old cars up and running and driving and stuff. And sometimes you can't find new tanks and you have to clean the one that you have. So that's why I kind of knew how to go about it on this one. But anyway, I'm not mad at him, and it's just, he just didn't know. But he said he used 6 gallons of muriatic acid to clean that tank out. That tank should have been really nice and not chunky rust clumps in there like there was. The only thing I can figure is maybe his muriatic acid is really, really old, or maybe it's diluted. I don't know, but I put 3 gallons brand new in there, and it was smoking. Like the smoke was coming off of it. It ate that rust plumb out of there, but pretty amazing. And then the cool part about having the GoPro is I could stick it down up in there and turn it all around and, you know, look inside and then play it back and look and see how clean it is. But anyway, just a big mess, and that's what you get into when you get cars like that. There's a lot of parts that you cannot get for these cars. You can't buy just a brand new gas tank and a brand new sending unit. And that was the other thing. I put the sending unit, it had surface rust all over it, pretty scaly looking stuff. And he wasn't sure if the fuel gauge worked, so I wanted to make sure it was working and bench test it and all that. But I put it in a gallon can, but I only used a 5-gallon bucket, but I only had 1 gallon of evapor rust, because that stuff's safe on plastic and aluminum and rubber and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to use muriatic acid on a sending unit. It'll eat the crap out of all the stuff that's not steel. But anyway, I soaked that sending unit. I had to soak it upside down and then right side up a couple of different times to get it all cleaned off. And then I went back, I pulled the sock off of it and got it clean because it's plastic and stainless steel. But I was amazed of the garbage that was in the bottom of that 5-gallon bucket after cleaning that sending unit. It was nothing but big clumpy rusty junk. And it was a brand new clean bucket and brand new bottle of evapor rust. So that was what happened, is it was sucking up the tank liner and all the rust particles and everything into the strainer on the tank, and it couldn't get fuel to the engine because of that. The fuel pump may be okay, but I'm still changing it anyway because it's 43 years old. It's time for a new one, you know what I mean? But anyway, I am going to get to work. I got a lot of stuff to do, so I'm going to be putting out some more videos this week. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. All right, so I ended up putting some paint filters in that funnel, and then I drained my evapor rust back into its bottle. Look at what that caught. Look at that, man. Golly. That's amazing. And then this is where I was draining it. Look at all that. Jeez. Look at the big clump at the bottom down there. Gritty old rust. Man alive.